Thanks for coming, guys. I appreciate it. We know there's a lot of other events and sessions on at the same time as this one, so we appreciate you finding the time to be with us today. My name's Ollie. I'm a Regional Director for Your Personal Training, and I will be hosting today's panel discussion. And we will be discussing, as you can see on the screen there, the importance of education, community development and continued professional development amongst PTs in particular. I'm here with two of my good friends and esteemed colleagues who have more than a fair few decades of experience in the industry, so I'm sure they'll be able to offer some fantastic advice, knowledge and insight into the industry and the questions that we answer for you today. So before we continue, I'd just like to ask each of the guys to introduce themselves, a bit about background and experience in the industry as well.
I'll go first. My name's Kevin Baker. I'm the Academy Director for Your Academy, so I run the qualifications. In terms of my background, I went to university in Leeds, studied sport, finished, thought, need to get a job now, what do I do? So I got a job in a local gym, Village Hotel. At the time there was no regulations, it had to be level 2 qualified, level 3 qualified. This was before reps, I won't tell you what year, we'll work out my age.
Oh mate, a long time ago.
And basically from there I built on my qualifications, reps came in, obviously now SimSpa I've superseded them. My passion is really educating people because I had quite a bad education in terms of qualifications through PT. So I'd done all this great sports science and then I did my ACSM course, who I was kind of referencing at the time at university. And but it was just awful. It was just one of those courses. It was very much like theory-based, no application to it. So I had to learn from doing. I was very much in the industry. It took a couple of years to be a gym instructor and work all that out before I started being a self-employed PT. Went to set my own personal training studio, got into tutoring. So that's kind of my progression.
Nice. JP?
Hi everyone, I'm James Pitter, Regional Director for the North. Which is always a little bit of a laugh because the North in YourPT is classed from anything from the M4 upwards, so just above Oxford, right up to Aberdeen, across into Wales, Belfast, so pretty much the whole of the UK apart from London. So luckily I've got a fantastic team working with me, regional personal training managers, PT support managers who support me with regards to what we do at YourPT. For those of you who are not sure, we are a PT management company, the largest in the UK. My job predominantly is overseeing recruitment and liaising with the senior management teams of all the operators that we work with. We'll come to a slide in a minute a little bit more about what YourPT do. My background is, I've been a personal trainer for 23 years. I left the Royal Marines in 2002, having spent a great time travelling the world and seen a little bit of good stuff and not so good stuff. Set up as a PT in the Lake District in 2002, and I've had my own business there, health, fitness, wellbeing consultancy, probably now across 2 sites, for pushing 23 years. So that still runs. Alongside that, I have my YourPT role. I started as a regional manager, moved up to regional director North just this year. So lots of balls to juggle and lots going on, but great to see what's going on in the industry at the moment. I qualified with Premier. For those who can remember Premier Global, it was seen as the go-to gold standard back in the day, and a lot of the armed forces guys, that was their natural progression back into Civvy Street, which was the resettlement. So Premier was the go-to. Unfortunately, Premier's gone, and there's been lots of changes going forwards, but changes for the good, I believe. Thanks, Ollie.
Nice. Before we crack on with the first question, I think it's just going to be beneficial for everyone here, especially those who don't know what we do, to learn a little bit about your personal training and your academy. So we'll give a brief overview and then we'll go from there. So James touched on it a little bit there. We are the largest PT company in the UK. So we basically work with operators and gyms and we help them, and we manage PT licensing on behalf of those operators. We're very proud of what we do. We have a proven success rate which speaks for itself. Our average PT that we recruit and onboard stays on average for 26.2 months. And that just shows we've got the right balance. We make sure that those PTs are well supported throughout their time with us. We give them access to business resources, education, mentoring, lead generation tools, marketing, booking systems, career development opportunities, events, so the list is endless, and we really want to make sure that they are well looked after and they have all the tools and resources they need to find that success as a PT, which is obviously very important to us. We're based in over 400 clubs in the UK and beyond, so we're growing quickly, and we've always said that as a company, we are not successful unless our PTs are successful, which they are. So we're going from strength to strength and sort of branching out into lots of different areas of the industry as well, which Kev will discuss now with your academy.
Yeah, so I've already mentioned it. We run Active IQ approved qualifications, so they're internationally recognised. In terms of what I wanted to bring for your academy is the stuff that I believe that PTs need to be good at in order to be successful in the industry. And if we can coach that from the very start, when they then move into, say, YPT, or if they go into different places, then at least they have a little bit of an idea as to what it will take to be a good PT. And in my opinion, without trying to come up with some other fancy acronym, I came up with the CARE acronym. So these are our values. So essentially, communication being the first one. If a personal trainer doesn't have great communication, they're going to struggle from the start. If a learner has bad communication as they go through our course, if we have bad communication with our learners, it's one of those key fundamental things that it will get you from where you are now to where you want to be a lot better if we do communicate better. So that's something that we always say to our learners from the start. Communicate with us, we'll communicate with you, and be good at it as you learn the information through the course, which we'll talk about later. Accountability as well. We'll tend to find that a lot of learners, if they're doing like online only courses, just go missing. They disappear and they kind of never come back. So we always have to say to them, look, be accountable. Here's your study plan. How many hours can you commit to each week? So we kind of go through that as part of the induction process to make sure that they are accountable, and they do work through their qualification. R is for respect. We need to make sure that every learner is catered for based on their individual need, as well as obviously their clients moving forward. So again, it's something that we want to try and instill in them from the start about diversity. And then E is excellence. We don't want just to get them to tick a box. We want them to be good. So I always put it on the learners from the very start that if you've had a busy day and you're going to try and attack a worksheet, now is probably not the best time. Do it when you're fresh, do it when you're actually understanding the content a lot better, and let's get you excellent for when you enter in the industry. So that's why I kind of put them together.
Nice. So for the topic of today's discussion being education, continued professional development, and community, we've put together 4 questions which we feel best cover those topics. And if we have time at the end of the session, of course, we will go to you guys, the audience, and take any additional questions. But as we've discussed there with your academy and your personal training, a lot of what we offer will be answered in further detail through these questions. But we'll move swiftly on to number 1. You ready, boys? Let's do this. So, question number 1 is, are there any obvious gaps in the current PT education curriculum that need to be addressed to support the future success of fitness professionals? As this is an education-based question, I'll go straight to you, please, Kev.
I'd say yes and no.
Good answer.
What a rubbish answer that is. Now, let me elaborate on that. Basically, the qualifications, the curriculum is very good. It's the way it's taught that will determine whether it's worthwhile or not. So, again, like I mentioned before, when I did my ACSM course, I learnt about where the olecranian process is. Brilliant. I'll say that to all my clients now. Of course I don't. You need to have the application of this knowledge. So when it comes to anatomy and physiology, yes, there's certain bits that you will never kind of really utilise with clients, but other bits that are vital when it comes to your program design. If you're not taught that on your course, if it's very separate, if we're just learning about bones, joints, muscles, we forget that. And then we don't apply it to program design. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So we talk about program design, but they're 2 separate entities. Well, they're not. The reason why you're learning about the physiology is how the body adapts to the workout you're going to do. So let's design a workout based on that knowledge. People always say about communication again. Active IQ have now brought in, you do now assessments on your consultation skills. When I did it and when I tutored a long time ago before the qualifications changed, people could do a consultation in their bedroom by themselves, and it was like a worksheet they had to fill out. It's about communication skills. And that was it. They tick a box and then they go into the gym and then all of a sudden they can't communicate to anyone. They don't know how to do a consultation.
Yeah.
So it's very much about how it's taught.
100%. I think those soft skills are so important, when it comes to communication and just basic sort of gym awareness, I think is definitely lacking, especially when I qualified as well, which was about 10 years ago now. There was no sort of relevance to, I feel, a lot of the content, whereas now we have a bigger emphasis on business skills, communication, lead generation techniques, which is so vital because that is really what you need when you come out the other side. And I remember day one in the gym, I was like a rabbit in the headlights. I was a master at anatomy, but I didn't really know how to go about starting a conversation with the intention of converting that member to a paying client. So yeah, I think things are changing for sure. JP, what about your own experience?
I think 23 years ago, when I did the Premier Global course, I don't know if anybody has done it, did it? There was a little bit on business development, and to be honest, as guys coming out of the armed forces, we expected to walk into a course for our resettlement back into civilian life. We wanted a high standard qualification to go into essentially an industry where we're going to be running our own businesses, self-employed. The Premier diploma back in the day was PT combined with sports massage. So there needed to be some sort of business development, and credit to Premier back then who had that module. I think over the years we've probably lost that with so many different training providers who probably are cutting corners. And in my experience as a regional PT manager, regional director, and doing recruitment direct with our applicants that come in from all over, one of our interview questions is, where do you think you would need the most support with your business? And the most common answer is business acumen, how to run a self-employed business. And to that end, the great thing about YourPT is that we have a foundational business skills course and an advanced business PT course.
And not to mention the really good business section that we go through at your academy.
Yeah, but you should have said that.
Just did.
Oh, stop it, boys.
Yeah. So
It's my mic.
the two courses that we offer, they're there for the trainers as soon as they launch with us. We essentially give them access to these two online courses straight away, the week before they start. In fact, they can start them. There are 15 CPD points. There's probably around about 12 hours of learning, 26, 27 modules to get through, and each module is actually a fantastic sort of duplicate of what they're going to experience through their business journey, the different phases, the launch phase, the growth phase, the retention phase, the decline phase. So everything's covered. So to get 2 free business courses, 15 CPD points, and probably I would say around about £1,500 worth of education for free is fantastic. But the most common gap is essentially young trainers needing that business support.
I think it goes back again to the application. It's like we had a learner recently who was very much out of her depth when it came to the practical side of things. You could tell she hadn't been in a gym much, she didn't know how to exercise. She has gone away, probably about 8-9 months later, different person. You can tell she's gone and practiced, she's applied it, and she can now do it. But that's a very obvious skill. You can't do it, now you can. But when we talk about, say, communication, we talk about business skills. Well, now, yeah, we know our business, but can you go and do it? Well, that's from going to do it. And I think business can be very much about, I'm going to learn this online and I'm going to watch this and I'm going to watch that, but are you actually doing it? So when it comes to you guys, YPT, if you're supporting those guys when they're doing it and they're making mistakes, but they're also learning from it and then adapting it, that's a great education piece. And I can't teach that based on a qualification. They need to just do it like you all would have done in some walk of life based on your careers so far.
I think the education is specific to what that PT is going to go on to do as well. So if they're going and they know they're going to go on to an employment, they may not need as many business and marketing skills as a PT that is obviously going into self-employment. So to a certain extent, I think it's important to be flexible with the education and make it relevant to the person that you're training. So there may be modules for some but not others and so on. Would you say that the importance of marketing and business development education is as important now as the fitness knowledge section of that?
Yeah, a lot of the time learners will use YouTube and things now for exercise technique, and there's obviously a lot of people spurting that out on socials and things now, qualified or non-qualified. It's an all-round thing. I think people need to be aware that they're running their own business.
Yeah.
It's an awareness thing from the start and what that takes.
Because I feel there's so many PTs out there with like amazing fitness knowledge. They know it all. They know how to program. They're fantastic PTs. But if they can't get the clients in the first place, then that just goes to waste. So it's important to have that initial, skill set to get clients in the bag, and then it allows them to sort of move on and progress. But yeah, we've spent long enough on that question. So this is just a slide here just displaying our own advanced business course that JP mentioned there. Again, we encourage PTs to study it because it is so helpful, and we know the PTs that do take the time to sit down and work through these modules, they're the ones that get the best start, and they're the ones that are much more likely to find clients and find success as a result. And it covers all the key topics, and a lot of the time, I know with your academy it's different because you've got the business side of things, but a lot of the training providers out there aren't even touching on it. So I think having those skills like communication, lead generation techniques, sales techniques as well, which is so important, is all included in this course. And to add incentive, because that's what it's all about, making PTs see value. We also attach 10 CPD points to that course. So yeah, we're getting more and more uptake, I feel, and new PTs that are coming through and launching with us. So yeah, great course. Question number 2. What types of events, workshops, or conferences can help strengthen the community between personal trainers and help create opportunities for networking and knowledge sharing? JP, you can start with this one, mate.
Well, I think with regards to this question, what sticks in my mind at the moment is probably this year the workshops and seminars that we've attended, where we've had all our trainers invited to these events from all over the UK. Like I said, with my northern region, we're probably as far up as Dundee, Aberdeen now, and we've had some trainers travelling 6 hours, 8 hours solid drive down to Leicester, where we've put on a workshop and seminar because of the value of that. And it's not just, I don't think, when we put on these level up workshops, I don't think it's more, well, definitely, there's definitely value in the level of quality of speakers that we get. We've got some worldwide speakers who attend events like FIBO in Cologne and Dubai Active and things like that. And we putting on these workshops and seminars for free for our PTs. What we're looking to do is obviously get those trainers together from different parts of the UK and share experiences, share knowledge, share good experiences and bad. I mean, as a mentor, I always share my successes from the last 23 years, but I'm quite happy to also share where it's gone horribly wrong. And we found with the 2 events I attended this year, we did one in Sheffield at Bramall Lane at Sheffield United, one at the King Power Stadium, Leicester, last Thursday, and you could see straight away that Connor, who'd driven all the way down from Forfar, was linking up with Joel, who'd come up from London, and Joel's a master PT where he's got 6 personal trainers working under him, where he's expanded his business because he's been successful himself, and then opened up another 6 diaries to take the demand within that club. And Connor, who's just started on that journey, who's only got 1 junior PT, who's literally only been with us maybe 12 months. So it was a fantastic way to get everybody together to share those good and bad experiences. And I guarantee that every single person that went to either Sheffield or Leicester went away with 1 golden nugget and applied it to their business. So I think things like the workshops and seminars has probably been the biggest thing that stuck in my mind when it comes to networking and sharing knowledge.
Kev, you want
to? Again, from an academy perspective, we do online workshops. We also do face-to-face workshops. So the online workshops are kind of the bridge between the theory and the application of it. And the application is obviously going to the face-to-face workshops. So let's say last week I did one on communication skills, consultation skills, and then linking that to program design. And out of the people that are on the online workshop, one of the tasks was, okay, here's some information about this client, go and design them a program. And guess what? As a consequence of everyone going away for 10 minutes and designing a program, all the programs were different. So we had a discussion, why was that different? Why have you included that? Why have you included that? And obviously to start with, it's on like Microsoft Teams, so cameras are off and they don't want to share this, and then they're kind of getting all hot and like, no, did it, and putting a rationale together as to why they've included it. And I think with that, it makes a learner certainly realise that even though they've watched a lot of YouTube, they don't know everything, or there's a different argument. And I think the key thing we try to get, certainly from a face-to-face day, is gym instruction and personal training is not about you as an individual, it's about the individual that you're talking to. Yeah. So the more you can get this togetherness, awareness, and again, diversity and difference, they then realise, okay, I need to kind of apply this in the real world.
Yeah, I think like the topic of community is so important, and bringing people together like helps everyone. You know, when you're a PT, especially when you're a self-employed PT, it can be quite a lonely place when you work for yourself. So we want to make sure that our PTs feel like they're included, not just in the gym environment, but also the wider YourPT community. So creating events like Level Up have really helped do that, you know, bring people together. And just like a PT needs to build community with their own client base, which is obviously so important for client retention, for us as a management company, it's important that we build community with our PTs. And I think the Level Up events that we've brought in this year have been so massively beneficial, bringing people together. And you can see, you know, the networking and you know, like you say, the golden nuggets that people are taking away is important. Like before this, we used to do a lot of online networking, so it was still there. But I think the value of face-to-face will never be beaten.
As today proves.
Yeah, exactly. Just like today. Would you say that? Would you agree that in-person events are more sort of beneficial and helpful for PTs than virtual events? Because there's pros and cons, right? Because obviously with a face-to-face event, there's, you know, it's less accessible for a lot of people, whereas online, obviously, you have the accessibility.
We talk ourselves out of going to these sort of events, don't we? We talk about, okay, I could do this online, therefore I shall. There's less resistance. However, when you go to a thing like this, it should be more worthwhile. You know, you should make the effort and collaborate with different people, etc., etc. It's very easy if you just come to a place like this or any sort of conference just to do nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's easier. But if you get yourself out there, then it makes the difference. So yeah, I very much value these.
Nice. All good.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. I think we've got a good mixture really. We've all gone onto Teams since we came out of COVID lockdown. It's very easy to do everything on Teams. And I think it's just finding that balance between the face-to-face interaction and the video calls. But yeah, you can't beat the face-to-face, to be honest, and that's what we used to do anyway, wasn't it? So maybe we'll start swaying back more toward that, which I'm all for.
Yeah, and I think it's just about getting the value of these sort of events across the PTs and making it, you know, incentivizing it and showing them what it is we do. And so it's not just about bringing PTs together, it's about bringing PTs together with us, who obviously manage them, and also our partners and, you know, industry experts who can share their knowledge and inspire the PTs, because every Level Up event I've been to, the speakers have inspired me. Even though I don't PT anymore myself, I wish I had access to that sort of knowledge and insight when I started PT, because I know how useful it would have been for me starting out. But there's, what event was that one?
Sheffield.
Sheffield.
Yeah.
I wasn't invited to that one. Okay, question number 3. How can CPD opportunities be made more accessible and engaging for personal trainers, ensuring that they remain committed to their ongoing professional development? We'll go back to you for this one, Kev, as it's another education.
More accessible. I don't think you can make them more accessible. I think they're too accessible now. There's, you know, there's too many and too fragmented and too this, that, whatever. It's like let's say a gym instructor PT course. Maybe in a qualification, there's thousands of different versions, right? You go online, you search this, that, whatever. So when it comes to CPD, it's just an absolute minefield.
Yeah.
So I think, firstly, with that, accessibility is not an issue. Engaging the personal trainers, I mean, over the years, people are selling or are offering CPD. I'm surprised there's no CPD to come to this. Because you go to workshops or you do a free online seminar, all it's to do is try to sell the main course. That's all it is. So if you buy our course for X amount of pounds, you get one CPD for just attending this. So it's, you know, just a little way in, isn't it?
Yes.
So I think that's something that needs to be looked at, because if you want me to pay for CPD, but I know I can do 10 free courses over the year, then I don't need to. So I think it's that awareness of what are my options. And again, people will do CPD based on their needs at the time. So people will contact us, I want to do a pre-postnatal course. Well, it's not because they deal with blokes in strength and conditioning, it's because they've had one client inquire about PT and they're pregnant.
Yeah.
So it's more reactive, I want to do this. Whereas if people have more of a business plan, this is where I kind of want to get to from the start. Like we've got a learner at the moment who that is what she wants to do. She's a mother herself. She knows the local community groups and this, however. She's got a very strong business plan. That's why she's doing a pre-post afterwards.
Yeah. Nice. JP?
With the CPD opportunities we offer our trainers a massive amount, so much choice. Like Kev said, maybe there is a bit too much there. I think what we've got to be careful of is that we keep the trainer focused on where they are with their business, to build their business on concrete, not sand, and get that solid foundation. I pinched that from James's friend Andy from Level Up last week. And you do get a lot of trainers who I think they've got so much choice. Got to be careful that they're kept on track and they've got that focus of what they should be doing when. So we can guide them obviously and tell them it'd be a great idea maybe if you've got this many clients giving you this many hours, which is obviously going to pay your rent and pay your bills at home. Basics first. Use your level 2, your level 3 skills. Use your foundational business course, your advanced course. You're going to pick up 15 CPD points straight away. Don't worry about pre and postnatal, nutrition, postural awareness, cardiac rehabilitation. That will all come. So there are lots of opportunities. How to make them more accessible. It was quite interesting on Black Friday when YourPT did a CPD sale. We sold loads. So maybe that's a barrier. Maybe it's the price.
Well, I think a lot of other industries will have CPD as part of their employed role, and it's something they need to do. And there's an awareness. Like say, my missus is a solicitor, so she needs to keep informed with updates and this, however. It's the same with the fitness industry, but we don't, and we have to pay for it ourselves. So I think making it more accessible. People have made it free, but it's only for a small part of the course. And that bit of the course is probably not the bit that they want to get into.
Yeah.
Or it's not as useful.
I feel like as a PT management company, Your Personal Training, we've made it very accessible for PTs, but it's about incentivizing them and reminding them why we would encourage them to continue their professional development in the first place, because we know, and it's good for us if they are, because they're, as a result of that extra study, they're becoming better and better PTs, which will lead to better success rates for them and therefore us. And it's all about retention of PTs and therefore members of the gyms, which is obviously good for them. So do you feel there's any extra ways we can incentivize, or do you feel like we've already kind of tried and tested everything that is realistic and feasible?
We have a PT hub, which all trainers get access to when they start. Username, password straight on there, pretty much. That is a toolbox, which myself, Ollie, James, one of the YourPT owners, Aaron, the other senior managers, we've basically given all our experience and said, this is what PT needs, and put that in a toolbox named the PT Hub. And on there, there's so many different options with regards to the CPD. I think it's just a case of, like I said before, directing the personal trainer as to when it's important to do it. It's definitely important to do it, but you don't need to be doing 3 or 4 straight away as soon as you launch. Like I say, you need to be building your foundation for your business. But it's great that we can give them that access. They can have that career progression, that continual professional development, because it does lead on to other things as well. And we're quite keen on offering other options in the future for our trainers, not just to be on the gym floor for 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. You can't sustain it. We've all been there. And it comes a point where you're like, actually, I want to be looking at something else alongside this, or reducing how many hours I do. I've got a family, I need to get my work-life balance sorted out. So with the CPD, that could lead to career progression in other areas where you're going to get secondary income for doing other things. And we have a master PT model and things like that, which we can go into in a minute, actually.
I think leading on from that, CPD, we need to realise what that is. It's not just about doing courses. CPD is our professional development, so it's paying for another PT to have some time, speaking to you guys about some mentoring, some development. It's not just about, I'm going to pay to get some CPD points. It's to improve my knowledge and my application to this knowledge again. So let's not just pigeonhole it as qualifications.
Yeah.
It's experience. That's what people should be paying for.
Yeah, and people have preferences. We've definitely made it accessible and we've let our PTs know what is there for them. But some people like learning through online courses. Some people like learning through in-person events. Some people like listening to podcasts. And so we've identified that and we've introduced things like our VIP webinars, which give people access to that as well. So yeah, it's just about getting it out there and hoping that PTs jump on board and sort of take advantage of that there, because we've put a lot of time into work into this side of the business. PT Hub was launched just this year, so we're always looking for new ways to sort of to give the PTs that exposure to these things.
I think, like I say, podcasts and whatnot, they are things that, again, SimSpa are not going to recognise that from listening to this podcast, then I'm going to get in SimSpa points.
Yeah.
But that is going to help their business.
And it's just a way of learning, isn't it?
It's another way of learning, yeah. That's all
if they have to complete an exam at the end of the podcast, then obviously they can be awarded for that potentially, right?
They've got the knowledge and they can apply it with their members, their clients.
Absolutely. And I thought I'd just throw this slide in as well, not just because there's another photo of me, but a big part of career development is career progression, and we definitely have that in abundance at Your Personal Training, and it's about getting PTs excited about their future and their careers, because we don't want PT to be the end of the road. If you're a good PT and you've proven your success, then why stop there? So we have lots of opportunities for PTs that join us. I myself, I started as a PT 10 years ago. I started then as a PT mentor, just like JP, and we've progressed up the ladder in that sense. But we're also now working with the likes of Techno Gym and MyZone, so there's lots of different avenues, as well as our education as well. Tutors and assessors for that, support mentors, all the way up to senior management levels. So we have that full progression for PTs. Final question that's a bit weird. Final question that we've got here before we go to you guys is, what emerging trends and innovations do you foresee having the most significant impact on PT education in the next decade? So I know we've kind of discussed a lot of this.
I think, based
already.
on my own experiences and the team's experiences, the YourPT team, since we came out of lockdown, you've probably heard the mental health, the mental well-being side thrown around so much. Yeah, I think COVID obviously affected a lot of people. From my own personal experiences, it was probably adapting back into civilian life, and some of my friends with PTSD, so the military side. But the well-being side is becoming more and more prevalent, and I think in places like when we went to visit FIBO in Cologne and Dubai Active, you could see that and get that within those shows. It's becoming so big. Personal trainers are basically hairdressers. They get so many people's problems on a daily basis. They are a sponge. And although hairdressers always say that, I've been cutting hair 12 hours a day, and such cat's died, such and such mum's died, and such his washing machine's not working. They were just getting all the problems dumped on them. Well, that is a PT at the end of the day, and I've been there, and some of you guys might have been there as well. It can be draining talking about Emmerdale Farm 8 times a day and having the same conversations. And obviously now there's some fantastic companies out there. James and Aaron, who are our owners, we were lucky enough for them to invest in us as senior managers to go through wellbeing training, resilience training with Dr. Glenda Rivolian, who you all probably know, and who's a fantastic character and very bubbly. And we've been down that journey, and we've also been down the journey of doing an emotional wellbeing coaching course, for which we're getting marked for the moment. And that for us is to be more understanding for the candidates that will come through to us as personal trainers, so we're more empathetic in supporting them with their businesses. But at the same time, what we've got to think about is those people that are going to go into the gym floors are going to be role models for the members who are going to have loads of problems. So To me, we're going to go more down the well-being route, and I think there's going to be more and more opportunities to become qualified as those types of coaches, and it'll just become a joint role, essentially, rather than just a PT having to accept they are a sponge for everyone's problems like a hairdresser.
Good answer.
I think back in the day when you used to have a bodybuilding gym or you had a CrossFit gym, they're trying to sell something to a CrossFit member is going to be easier, let's say, compared to a bodybuilding gym, or vice versa, depending on what you're selling. So if you go to a budget gym, they're not going to be concerned about quality. They're not going to be concerned about who comes through the door as long as they can do the job, just about. And if they get a churn rate, it doesn't matter, someone else will come in. So I think looking at, say, more the leisure centres and the people that have all these different like initiatives and stuff with the local community, like we were talking about before, getting them in, whether it's swimming lessons for the kids or for adults who can't swim, it's again about inclusivity and getting more and more people to kind of join in. And I think it's making people realise that you can't just have like an education course for someone who's going to go into a budget gym versus someone who's going into a gym with a very different demographic.
Yeah.
So I think overall, people just need to have more awareness of what they're moving into.
Yeah,
I think.
No, for sure. And I think we've definitely identified the importance of wellness alongside PT. And like JP was saying, PTs are counsellors without even realising it. They take on a lot from the clients. So I think for them to have basic knowledge of mental health is definitely useful, because although they are not qualified to sort of treat that mental health problem, they may be educated enough to identify it and maybe refer that client on to specialist help. So I think having some understanding of it and the signs to look out for are really important. And obviously, we're always looking for new things and sort of new areas of the industry to sort of move into, and that's why we've recently created Your Wellbeing, which is doing just that and sort of training PTs up in the wellbeing side of things, which it's good for the PT as well, because it allows them to upsell their existing service to their clients. And if they're, like a lot of PTs offer like outdoor boot camps, online training, nutrition coaching alongside their one-to-one PT. So why not offer wellbeing training as well? So I think it's definitely a sector of the industry which is growing rapidly. And as we were saying, like you go to the big events like FIBO Dubai Active, which we were at this year, and you can see it, I'm not saying they're ahead of us, but you can see the trends emerging, and I think there's definitely a big focus on wellness and well-being moving forward as well. Questions?
Come on, please. Rent a crowd, please. We need questions. Anything?
I've got one. Yes. So, in my gym, I do a lot of personal training anyway in my gym. Well, basically said then on that last question about what you think will affect personal training, where do you think small group personal training comes in? So, as do the coaches in my gym, I know we deliver a boss service in our small group personal training. So, do you think that's going to have a massive effect on your personal trainers in the sense of business-wise? Because why is someone going to come and pay me £25, £35 an hour when you can get 5 sessions a week for that on a small group personal training? You know what I mean?
Well, I encourage my PTs. I think on the north at the moment we're probably pushing 180, 200 trainers, and I always encourage them to do small group PT because we're getting more and more now husband, wife, to siblings, work colleagues, friends who want to do it as a small group. And I think there's a way in a pricing structure which can be beneficial for the trainer, because essentially for the customer they can pay less per person, but the trainer can actually make more per hour. Does that make sense?
So what I meant though was, what I meant was, are they going to have to teach them a different set of skills then? Because I know it's a lot easier to speak to one person to then have to sit here and assess a whole room and say, okay, your things happen, or whatever.
As part of the qualification, they do have to learn how they adapt a PT session for group PT, but again, it can get lost in translation, you know. So there is information in the course regarding that. When it comes to the business side of things as well, we do teach them the different offerings they can have, whether it's one-to-one, whether it's group, whether it's online, whatever it may be. I tend to find that when learned at this point, it's like rabbit in headlights, because they're like, oh my God, I'm my own business now, I need to do da-da-da-da. And unless someone has a clear, right, I've been to your gym, I love it, it was small group training, that's what I want to do, people are still a bit blinkered to it, because I think they'll go to a gym and they'll see PTs one-to-one. Yes, it just depends again what facility they've been in before, I think. But yeah, it's massive. I think in a very busy commercial gym, it can be quite difficult just based on space and availability and things. But this is certainly what I do on the course. I give them options. I say, what is better for you? So again, if you've got someone who can't create eye contact, can't speak to people, they're probably going to really struggle in front of a big group. I'll always reference one learner I tutored years and years ago. She couldn't create eye contact, very, very introvert. She's now got her own PT studio massage place over in Hull, and she's absolutely smashing it. It's one of those people that you think there's different niches for different people. So I think it's not for everyone, but everyone should know about it.
Is your facility just small group training?
No, it's both. We do all three. We do large group, small group, and personal training. It's just that now, as we're seeing, I focus a lot on personal training as well, and as I'm seeing people coming in, I'm offering them personal training, but then I'm like, we also do have this option, and like, it kind of taking a little bit of money away from you as the personal trainer and going more towards the gym if there is the gym that offers that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think in my experience, the PTs that do the best are the ones that have options, and you know, the ones that are transparent about the pros and cons to each of the options they offer. So if, for example, somebody's like sort of shying away from a one-to-one 1 hour session, you can then say, look, do you have friends that use the gym? We offer this. Or I also do half-hour sessions. And then also just explaining the pros and cons. So say, like, I do small group training, but obviously if you want the sort of one-to-one focused service, then you'd be better off with the one-to-one. So I think there's an option for everyone and a service for everyone. It's just about teaching the PT how to get that across most effectively. And that comes down to like sales skills and knowing their product.
Comes down to the individual as well, though. You know, some people will naturally go to a gym because they want to just switch off, put the headphones on, and train by themselves.
Yeah.
Other people do want that class-based element. So I think that's your communication that you give off as a facility to say this is what we offer. Yeah, these are the different options, sort of thing.
Cheers, mate. Where's your gym based?
Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Yeah.
Could have guessed that.
Probably can't have a chest.
I come to Liverpool actually. We look after the Volair sites, you know, the Volair centres. There's about 8 across Liverpool. Volair, there's one at Knowsley, which is called Heighton.
Oh, yeah, in the suites.
All the leisure centres.
Yeah,
they've got about 8 sites, so you catch up sometime.
Any more for any more? I think we're pretty much on the dot there.
Yeah.
Nice. Cheers, guys. Thanks very much for coming. Appreciate your time.